We Quinn, did Kevin give you an update on Quinn? So he looked good out there. So we'll probably make that decision in the morning, but it looks like he'll fit in. I'm guessing my conversation will go well with him after because he looked good out there. Samuelson, we are not in a position to rush. I think Kevin, he's got to get his reps and feel good about and confident at where he's at. When that's the case, he'll go in, and again, I'll talk to him after the skate here now and see where he's at. But I think that's it.
He's going to want to go in, though, right? You're going to have to really make that decision for him.
If he wants to go in, he's going to have to convince me right now today of that. But you can see that in body language and everything else when you talk to players. But it has to be convincingly, only because he hasn't had a lot of practice time and he's been off for an extended time. But it's very encouraging that he, goes through practice, no hiccups, and he's confident. I think timing is going to be a challenge for anybody with that length of time off.
With younger players, Don, it's challenging to not ride the emotional wave of a season. When you have such a younger team, how do you kind of get them out of that mental mindset? Just given the stretch that you guys are in right now.
Yes, very big challenge. It's even a challenge internally. Speaking of myself internally, the position of a head coach in the NHL. Obviously, there's pressure to win, and where we're at. You don't want to bring any of frustration into that locker room that would impede the guys. Make them overthink or play a little tight. So it's a balancing act. But we do know being young, development is everything. We made a choice. We made choices that we need to stand by. And there's reason to stand by them because we've seen development. I mentioned it the other day. 1 year ago today, we didn't even know if we had a centerman at the NHL level, let alone a number one centerman. And fast forward to right now, from a year ago, Tage Thompson has clearly proven that he can do that. Skinner a year ago today was a big question mark in many areas, and Tucker we didn't even have, Owen we didn't have, and Dolls, and you put those five on the ice, it's unbelievable what they do together. So we need to keep doing that with Jack Quinn and J.J. Peterka and Peyton Krebs and Dylan Cousins is moving along, and that's going to make up the difference in what we're seeing now. We fully believe that, and we need to stay on that, stay the course on that, and get these guys playing that exciting, passionate hockey. I think that's what slips because you worry about winning and you fight expectations, and it just pulls you right out of your element. And I sense and feel that that's happened over the last little bit as you asked that question, and I just want to make sure we're not, interfering with that from the coaching side by trying to overcoach situations.
Exciting, passionate hockey. How much does Saturday night against the Leafs maybe help that?
It does. It is to think about Hockey Night in Canada, and you play your rival. I just think the players going into that game and into that building, you're already, the nerves are nerves of excitement and opportunity. Our guys have proven that they've been very excited and up for those games, and I'm excited for that reason.
JJ got some chances. I was just chatting with him, and he said that at least he's getting the chances. He says what he's learning is maybe some shots that would go into the AHL aren't necessarily going to go in the NHL. What's your sense of him? He seemed okay talking to him, but is he getting frustrated that the puck's not going in for him, or what's your sense with him?
I think it's progressive the last few games getting frustrated. I think he wants to help our team and realizes that, the other night, if he converted on a couple of his chances, the game could have been different. Either go ahead or tie, and same thing prior games, hitting goalposts, and so I think that's his frustration that he's not scoring, but he's in situations to help our team and maybe put it over the top. So he's a very team-focused kid, and I love that. I mean, that's a huge bonus when you have a kid that's as talented as he is. He is driven to compete and help us win games. He a little bit like Tage Thompson in our conversations with Tage a year ago. You do all this training, and they're trying to hit a perfect spot in the net, right under the bar, 1 inch under the bar. But over thousands and millions of reps that they've had, shot after shot after shot, they're not trusting their instincts. They're actually trying to place it there all the time. And for Tage, it was just a release. Just shoot it, Tage. Your body knows now where the net is, and that really helped Tage. I think that's the process JJ's going through. He feels it's hard to score goals. It's not. He's gonna, once he breaks through, he's not realizing the ease of it. The hard work that he's done already, I think he's putting too much pressure on himself, honestly.
As far as UPL goes, just how much did it help him that he really embraced going back to Rochester?
That's immense, because the psyche is everything when you talk about somebody in that window of development. I've spoken on UPL, and he's in that category of those young players. They're in such a huge window of development. And for a goalie, if we bring UPL up here, he's no longer in that development. He's in that, everybody expects him to be a number one goalie, and if he has a bad night, there's negative pressure right away. What's wrong with him? He's not the guy that's going to be the number one. So he would no longer be focused on development. He'd be focused on survival. And so for him to accept going back down there and see it as his opportunity to keep developing, which he may not have that as a focus if you're the number one guy in the NHL or you're in the NHL trying to win games. You kind of lose that focus. So for him to embrace that is really key, because it has accelerated his development. He is better every time. Every day down there, he's made himself better. Every game, he's fought harder in practice. He's harder. He's prepared better game to games with the vision of once he establishes himself here, he's going to be judged and rated a whole lot differently, and his focus is going to be different.
What's the last 24 hours been like for you, thinking, can we practice? What time can we practice? Can we get players down here safely? Can we get to Toronto? What's the last 24 hours logistically been like?
It felt like we were back in COVID. It did, with just so many unknowns. Felt a little bit like you're coming back on Christmas break even, with wondering if guys could get to the rink this morning. A situation where you wonder if flights are, guys are arriving back in town or there's cancellations on flights. It's sort of that thing. Can they even get to the rink? But it's not unfamiliar. I don't think it's unfamiliar to our guys, and I love the practice. The guys were excited to be out there and played with pace that we haven't had, and energy that we haven't had. And you could probably hear I was a little more vocal, pushing them for a higher pace and a higher tempo, which I think we have gotten away from the last little bit. And so I think even though he had those oddities, I think it's actually okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
As far as Luka, you've been to a couple games in Rochester. I'm sure you've seen video. Just what have you noticed about him in the 9 games he's played? He seems a lot quicker, composed. What have you noticed?
Yeah, his fitness coming into the season, you still see he leaned down a bit. His agility, his ability to get in and out of low positions and movements are just sharper, more efficient, while expending less energy as well. So you see him maintain a level through the game where you might have seen more fatigue. Last season, if we compare it to last season, and those are really big strides. Thanks, everyone.